Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Big Australian Racing Show, and this show is designed to look at the best of the best in racing each and every weekend. Now this weekend is an absolute beauty because it is all about Randwick in Sydney. Day one of the championships. Cannot wait. There is 4 Group 1s at Randwick on Saturday, highlighted by the Doncaster Mile. Of course, there's 3 others that are really interesting. And then we're also going to look at the Mornington Cup in Victoria. It's the highlighted race, the featured race of this Saturday in Victoria. And it actually looks like a strong field. So I'm looking forward to looking at that race because there are some strong horses in that race and it should be a cracker. So 5 races to look at in total in this episode. Let's not waste any time. Let's start with the first Group 1 of the day at Randwick. It is the Inglis Series, ran over 1400 metres starting at 3:10 p.m. local time. The field is made up of 12 horses. It's an interesting field. Telferian actually starts the field at number 1, came 4th in the Golden Slipper over a 1200 metre distance. Of course, 200 metres more, can run the 1400 metre journey, but hasn't won over that range. So that could be the concern for Telferian, but he is backed by the punters at $3.09. Looking at the other horses, Good Standing came 10th in the Golden Slipper, so wasn't a very good performance, but back at the 1400 metres. Can it run that 1400 metre distance? I'm not quite sure. The punters are backing it at $10. Seaburge, probably the only, I guess, the only good looking horse in this race that has actually won over the 1400 metres, has actually placed in its last 3 meetings. Its last race was over the 1400 metre journey, so looks like a very good horse, backed by the punters at $8. Attention, looks like a really good horse, has won over the 1400 metre journey. That was in its last race at Rose Hill. Damien Oliver on board, definitely a chance to win, no doubt about that. Detective was okay at Flemington a few weeks ago on Australian Cup Day in the VRC. That was over the 1400 metres, came 2nd to Seaburge. Of course, Seaburge, like I mentioned, looking very, very good. So whether it can beat Seaburge in this race, we'll have to find out. Probably not, but you never quite know. Hasn't won over the 1400 metre journey before, but of course has ran over that distance before. Also looking at some other good chances as well. Yankee Rose came 2nd in the Golden Slipper. That was over the 1200 metre journey. Can definitely go the 1400 metres, I reckon. Hasn't won over that range, but looks very good to do so. Backed by the punters at $3.08, is the favourite for this race. And I'm also having a look at Omi Sword as well. Looks very good and its form hasn't been so bad. Chris Waller trained horse, hasn't won over the 1400 metre journey, but does well on a heavy 8 track, which is what Randwick is expected to be on Saturday. So looking at my tips for the race, I'm going to go Seaburge for number 1. I like the look of this horse. It's placed in its last 3 races. Looks like it does very well over the 1400 metres and should take it up to Yankee Rose. Of course, Detective, which it beat in the VRC a few weeks ago. I reckon it'll win this race. I reckon it's definitely a good chance. I've got 2nd, Yankee Rose. Came 2nd in the Golden Slipper, as I said. Looks very poised to go that extra 200 metres from the Golden Slipper. Hasn't won over the 1400 metres before, but I reckon it's a good chance to do so. So I reckon it'll come 2nd to Seaburge. And 3rd, I've gone with Telferian. Looked okay-ish in the Golden Slipper. This extra 200 should suit, but I reckon it will come third in this race. And then I'm going to go as my roughie for the race. I'm going to go Attention. He's backed by the punters at $21, which is pretty good odds for a horse who has ran over that 1400 metre distance and won before. Also, doesn't look too bad on a heavy track, so I reckon a very good chance of getting up. Probably one of the roughies to look at, in my opinion. With Damien Oliver on board and with Barrier 1, it's definitely my roughie of the race for the Inglis for this year. Okay, looking ahead now to race 7, BMW Australian Derby, ran over 2,400 metres, being ran at 3:50 p.m. local time. A race for 3-year-olds. It is weight for age and set weight. It is looking like a very good race. It's got horses like Tarzino, Vanbrugh, also Jamaica as well, who pulled out a week ago in one of the races there. So it's going to be a very interesting race indeed. Like I mentioned, Tarzino, trained by Mick Price. He is the favourite to win this race, backed by the punters at $2.15. Did very well in the Derby over a extra 100 metre distance, and then of course came second in the Australian Guineas at Flemington before winning the Rose Hill Guineas. Is in good form and is going to be very poised to win this race. Vanbrugh looks okay, hasn't won over the 2,400 metres, which is the concern for me, but it came fourth in the Rose Hill Guineas, so I reckon the extra 400 metres will suit. Etymology, backed by the punters at $17. Not a huge chance to win this race, but looks very good over the 2,400 metres. Came sixth in the Rose Hill Guineas, so could go that extra 400 metres. Tally has won its last 3 races. Hasn't won over the 2,400 metre journey. Came first in its last race in the Alistair Clark. That was at Moonee Valley a couple of weeks ago, the week before the William Reid Stakes. Like I said, won its last 3 starts, so looking like a very good informed horse. Has been ridden by Craig Williams the last 2 starts. Going to be jockeyed by James McDonald in this race. Looking at some other chances as well, we've got What's the Story. Did very well in the New Zealand Derby a couple of weeks ago, came second. That was over a 2,400 metre distance. Barrier 4 should suit. And also looking at Jamaica, who pulled out last week in one of the races. In fact, came third in the Rose Hill Guineas, got beaten by Tarzino. Can bounce back and beat Tarzino in this one? I'm not quite sure. Of course, Oaks winner of last year. Okay, so my tips. I can't fault Tarzino going into this race. I reckon it will win it. It will beat the likes of Jamaica, What's the Story, Tally, horses like that, I reckon. Very good 3-year-old bay colt who has proved very well over the last few months, starting from the Victoria Derby right through to the Australian Guineas where it came second. Then, of course, at Rose Hill a couple of weeks ago, it came first in the Rose Hill Guineas. So first for me is Tarzino. Second is What's the Story, coming from New Zealand. Won't know the track very well, so that's the concern. But I reckon it can go that 2,400 metres. We know it can, and I reckon it will come second to Tally at third. I've gone Etymology at roughie of the race. I reckon at $17. I reckon this could be the roughie to back. It hasn't won over that journey, but coming 6th last time. It wasn't a bad run, so whether it can go the extra 400 metres, I reckon it can. I reckon it'll be very good chance to do that. Race number 8 is the TJ Smith Stakes, ran over 1,200 metres at 4:30 p.m. local time. Really looking forward to this race, actually. It's probably one of the most exciting races for me because Chautauqua is back from the Newmarket. You've also got Flamberge, who won very well in the William Reid Stakes. I think I really ruled this horse out in the Oakley, and then I ruled it out in the William Reid, and it won for Peter Moody, so that was unbelievable. Delectation is also back for Chris Waller. Terra Vista's back, of course, hasn't ran for quite a while against the likes of Chautauqua, etc. And Rebel Dane's also there as well. You've also got a couple of others as well. Just reading out some of the horses in this race that I like. Chautauqua, of course. Newmarket came third, won the Lightning, but then came third in the Newmarket, beaten by the quarterback. And also Blackheart Bart as second, so it got beat by both those horses. We'll have a freshen up, and it will be freshened up, and I reckon it will be a big chance to win this race. It is the favourite. Actually, it's the second favourite, $3.05 $3.50. Flamberge, of course, like I mentioned, $21. True Terra Vista is at $14, so he's right out to $14. Of course, its last race was actually in the Galaxy at Rose Hill a couple of weeks ago. It came 9th out of the 14 horses. Grant Tay actually won that race, so it wasn't a very good performance by Terra Vista, but back over the 1200 metres will probably suit this horse more than what a 1100 metre distance would do. I'm ruling Rebel Dane out now. Well, actually, I'm not really ruling Rebel Dane out now because I feel like it could still go that 1200 metres. It actually, in its last 1200 metre race, came third, so it could be there at the end. It could be one of those roughies. It is backed by the punters at a very large odds, though. You've also got Fell Swoop at $23. I like Fell Swoop. Doesn't look too bad over the 1200 metres. In fact, won its last race over the 1200 metres, so that could be one to watch, backed by the punters, like I said, at $23. Exo Fear is the favourite to win this race. Came 4th in the Lightning, got beaten by Chautauqua. Hasn't raced since, has had a trial run which it came first. And, yeah, I'd be probably backing this horse to get up, maybe. It could be definitely a good chance. English, I don't mind English. Came 6th in the Galaxy over 1100 metres. A bit disappointing, sort of, but I reckon it could go that extra 100 metres and win. So I do like English. It is a good horse. Okay, so for this race, it is a tough race, actually, I think, because Chautauqua, we don't really know how it's going to go, considering it came 3rd in the Newmarket. And it's away from those Melbourne-based tracks now. So if it's on a heavy 8 like they're suggesting, then I'm not really sure how it will play out. But I'm actually not going to tip Chautauqua to win the race. I'm actually going to tip English. I think over the 1200 metres, I think it will suit. It has won over this distance before. Back at Randwick, it seems to love Randwick, actually. That's what it seems like it loves to do. So, yeah, English for me, backed by the punters at $10. I'm actually going to put it at first. I know that might sound silly to some people, but I am going to put it at first. Chautauqua for me at a close second, but we'll be there at the finish line. Wouldn't be surprised if it speeds past English and beats it, but I'm just going to go second. And then third, I'm going to go Exo Fear, who is the favourite. I think it will be in the top 3. Exo Fear in good form. Came 4th in the Lightning, of course. Before that came second in both its trial runs. In the Coolmore Stud Stakes came 4th. But has had a bit of a freshen up, so I think it'll be right to go and ready. Barrier 4, good barrier for this horse. And my roughie is Terra Vista. We know it can go the journey. We know it's really good and really competitive against horses in this race, such as Chautauqua and so forth. So I reckon it will be there in the top 6. Could be there at the end. Wouldn't be surprised. It's definitely a good price at $14 for a horse that we know is good. Finally, the last Group 1 of the day on Saturday. It is race 9. The Doncaster Mile ran over 1600 metres. What an interesting race this is. And, well, you know who the favourite is. Winx is the favourite, coming in at $1.09. You can see there on the field there as it is displayed. What a horse this is, running for its 9th victory in a row. Is such a great horse over fair few distances, actually, not just the one distance. It can go over a fair few distances, so no wonder it's the favourite. It's in good form. Its last race ran very well a couple of weeks ago at Rose Hill on Golden Slipper Day. You can't fault this horse, I don't reckon. But looking at some other chances for this race, I guess, or ones that can finish second and third, Kemadec at $8. This is actually the second favourite to win the race, Kermadec, so that's how big of a chance the punters are going with Winx. Very good horse, can run over the distance, no doubt about it. Came 13th in the Cox Plate, though, the same race as Winx, just for a bit of information there. Turn Me Loose wasn't so good in the Orr Stakes, came 4th, but then bounced back to win the Vatirity a few weeks ago, or a month ago. Came 6th in the same race that Winx was in a few weeks ago. In fact, by the way, Kermadec came 2nd in that race too. So Turn Me Loose was a bit disappointing in that race. It can go the 1600 metres. I think it's better over that 1600 metre journey. So it will love that 1600 metres. Looking at some other chances as well. Stratum Star, not too bad over the distance of 1600 metres by the seams of it. Came 3rd in its last race at Flemington a few weeks ago. That was on Australian Cup Day, actually, so a bit of a while back now. Bow Creek at $14. Hasn't done much since the Peter Young came 8th in the Australian Cup. Its last 1600 metres was a while ago, so going back to that shorter distance will be a bit of a challenge, I reckon. First Seal, barrier 1, jockeyed by Tommy Berry, coming in at $11. Came 4th in the Geo Rider, the same race as Termiloose and Kermadec, a couple of others as well. So yeah, not really sure. Can run the distance, but it's going to find this race, I reckon, a bit hard, but wouldn't be surprised if it gets up in the top 6. Volstock and Barrow as well doesn't look too bad, coming in at $23 though. So I'm tipping Winks for this race, of course. Cannot fault it. Has won its last 8 races, going for 9 straight. Probably one of the best horses in this era, besides Black Caviar, of course. If it wins this one, it will join the likes of Black Caviar and some of the greatest horses, Mackay Diva, Farlap, ones like that. It's going to be exciting, isn't it, if Winks wins another one. Termiloose at second. I think Termiloose will love it back at the 1600 metre journey. It'll be interesting to see how it runs on the track of Randwick. Kermadec is third for me. And Volstock and Barrel. Don't mind this horse. Runs very well over the distance. The barrier is not too bad at number 10. It has done okay from that kind of barrier before. Won its last race over the 2000 metres. Won its last 1600 metre race, which was a late February, 27th of February to be exact. This will be a tough race for it, but in saying that, I think it is a roughie to look at. Okay, so that does it for the Randwick races, the 4 Group 1s, the Championships Day 1. Going to be very interesting there. Like I just previewed, there's so many good races, of course, some very good horses in all of the races, and they are going to be very interesting, so make sure you watch and keep an eye on Randwick. Also keep an eye on Mornington. The Mornington Cup is at Mornington this week. It's one of the big races for Mornington. It is the featured race in Victoria this week. Well, it's a big field of 18 horses as you have a look at the field there. Pagini was okay in the Easter Cup, came 4th. That was over a 2,000 metres. This is over a 2,400 metres. Of course, race 9 on the agenda, 4:50 p.m. So, yeah, it's definitely one of the chances. $9 though the punters are going with, but I think it's probably a bit more of a better chance than that, I reckon. It could probably be a shorter price as we get closer to the race. Big Memory came 2nd in the Golden Mile at Bendigo. That was his last race. That was over a 1,600 metre distance. Has won before over the 2,000 metre journey, and has also won over the 2,400 metre journey as well. So will probably suit, I reckon. Observational, he was okay in the Easter Cup, came 3rd. I reckon that extra 400 metres should suit this horse. Hasn't won over that journey before, the 2,400 metres, but could suit. Number 4, Tom Melbourne, an exciting horse. This has won its last 3 races. It's actually won 4 of its last 5 races to be exact. Few of them were trial runs, by the way, though, but they were still starts. Coming in at barrier 5, definitely a very good horse to look at, that's for sure. There's also a couple of others there as well that look very, very good. But for me, my tips for this race, observational. I reckon the extra 400 metres will suit this horse. From the Easter Cup, it was okay last week, so observational is my first. Pekini, I'm going to go that as a close second. Was disappointing in the Easter Cup, only coming 4th. I reckon I thought it was going to be a bit higher than that, but yeah, I reckon it will come second. And Tom Melbourne is my 3rd horse. If you want a roughie, Big Memory, I think that could get up and win the race, even though it is backed at $8, which is a shorter price than Bikini. I reckon that could be a really good roughie to look at. And that is it for this edition of the Big Australian Racing Show. Thank you very much for joining me for the 2nd episode. Of course, this show is now the new place here on Bevob5 Productions, where you can get all your racing news and all the best of the best in featured racing. It's just a fantastic show to do, and I hope everyone appreciates the work I do. Don't forget to like, comment and share this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Enjoy Saturday's racing. There's of course 4 big Group 1s as I just mentioned, and also the Mornington Cup as well. So get around those races. I hope you, if you have a bet, I hope you get up and win some money. And until next Friday, until the next edition of the Big Australian Racing Show next Friday, I'm Jacob. Thank you again for watching. Bye for now.